Champions, it's playoff time, and that means pressure is at an all-time high. So, are you a player that thrives under that pressure? Do you rise to the challenge, or do you crack and crumble when the game's on the line? Let's face it, mental toughness is what separates the average player from those that thrive, those that strive, those that succeed, and those that battle through. Well, tune in today because we're talking about that exact mindset tips to help you rise to the challenge, to thrive during the pressure, and stand out and lead your team to success. It's time for another empowering episode of the Warrior Confidence Hockey Podcast. Are you ready to stand out, get noticed, and earn more ice time? Then buckle up that chin strap because this is where confidence is built, respect is earned, and leaders rise. Let's get at it. Greetings, champions. Welcome to the Real Rich Grogan Warrior Confidence Hockey Podcast. Hey, my mission is to empower you with that warrior confidence, to believe in yourself, to stand up for what is right, to do what you know you need to do, to be respectful to first and foremost yourself, to do the things you need to do to stand out from the crowd, to earn that ice time and earn those leadership roles. Now, let's face it, most players don't fail because of lack of skill. They fail because of lack of confidence, discipline, respect, work ethic, and overall that belief in themselves. Well, today we're talking about the playoff mindset. We're talking about the way you can stand out from the crowd, the way you can thrive during the playoffs as opposed to crack and crumble when the pressure's high. Well, this is episode number 392, and this episode's titled Hockey Mental Toughness, How to Thrive Under Pressure During the Playoffs. So the right hook of reality, and here, bam, coming at you hot and strong. The playoffs are tough, man. Pressure is sometimes overwhelming. So what happens to you during the playoffs? What happens to you during pressure situations? Go ahead and drop in the chat. You can say, man, I thrive or I struggle. And it's okay, because as I've told you many, many times before, a champion is not someone who's never failed before. A champion is someone who fails over and over and over again, but refuses to give up, refuses to lay down, refuses to quit. A champion is someone who learns from those failures, learns from those mistakes, and continues to grind, continues to drive, continues to raise their expectations, raise their standards to that next level. So, and here's something I tell players all the time. You're going to fail. Here's the reality of things, another right hook. You're going to fail far more than you succeed. But it's in those failures, it's in those setbacks, it's in those moments when you sometimes think, man, am I ever going to make it? You think, I might as well just give up. It's never going to happen. It's in those moments you find out who you really are. And that's that push, that drive you need to get to that next level. That's how you overcome that hump in the road, that whatever challenge you're facing right now. And here's the raw reality, another right hook. You've gotten here today because you've overcome every challenge you faced thus far. Now, if it's not a challenge right now, in other words, if it's too easy, you're not challenging yourself enough, then you're not going to grow. Now, here's a silly analogy I give all the time. And I'm talking to teenagers. I said, hey, who wishes your homework was like it was when you were in kindergarten, as a kindergartner? And sometimes, they're well, yeah, what are you getting at here, man? And I said, well, the thing is, I realize your homework's tough right now, whatever you're working on. It gets tougher in the real world. Hockey practice is a lot tougher now than it used to be when you're first learning to skate backwards. Now we're pushing you harder, faster, stronger. Everything's harder now than it used to be. Why? Because you've reached that level. If you hadn't reached that level, you wouldn't be where you are right now. You keep pushing yourself to get to that next level. Well, right now, playoff time, man, that pressure's high. But you've earned the right to be here. You've earned the right to get to the playoffs because you've worked hard enough to get there. Now, if you're not in the playoffs, that's okay. It's all right. You're going to push yourself next year to win more games than you did this year. So next year, you're on a team that makes it to the playoffs. And sometimes I get it in the comments all the time. Well, I'm just one player. I'm just one person. I can only do so much. True. But one leader that takes a stand, one leader that stands up, one leader that leads by example, they put the team on their back. Now, one player cannot do it all by themselves. However, one player can make a difference. And then that one player inspires a second player, then a third player, then a fourth player, then a fifth player. And before you know it, you got everybody working in the same direction. Everybody bought in on the same goal. And example I give, open hand, fingers, individuals doing their own thing, fail. Now, in martial arts, I broke boards, bricks, ice, everything you can imagine. Now, if I went to break that with my fingers alone, I would break each finger alone because individuals fail. However, putting that together in a unified fist, now you got strength. Now you got power. Now you got some major force working together for unity, strength, all on the same page. And that page, bang, break that board, break that brick, break through. That's the team mentality, the fist working together on a unified goal. That unified goal is to be the best team you can be. Individuals fail, teams succeed, teams win, teams take championships. Yeah, teams are remembered, but individuals by themselves ain't going to do it. But that team starts with one person saying, all right, let's come together. And I always like to say the thumb is the leader of that fist because it holds it together. If the thumb comes apart, the leader comes apart, and before you know it, everything's come apart. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of organizations too. You know, they start off beginning of the season, everybody's unified on what they're going to do to help their players earn ice time, help their players get as much ice time as possible, help their players win as many games as possible, help their players get to the playoffs, help their players get to states. And somewhere along the line, if that unified goal isn't continuously reminded and reinforced, before you know it, that fist starts coming apart. Now you got everybody doing their own thing. Now you got everybody talking bad about one another. You got conflict between the parents and the coaches and the players and the organization, and the season's lost. Instead of being such a season that started off with such hope and promise and prosperity, has now turned into a season you can't wait for it to end. Go ahead and drop in the comments if you've had a season like that before, or raise your hand. I'll raise both hands. I've been on both sides of it. I've had seasons where, and I always like to say, if you get 2 out of 3, and that 3 are the players, parents, and coaches, all unified, working together, you get 2 out of 3, that's a pretty successful season. If you're able to get all 3, all bought in, working together, that's championship seasons. So a season, my youngest son, well, he's 16 now. He's a goalie for varsity. He's backup goalie, but he's worked his butt off to get there. He's only been in the Nets 2.5 years. And you've heard me talk about him before on previous podcasts. Well, one of his first years playing, we were in the lowest tier of, because it was his first year, call them ankle benders. It was 10 or 12U. Anyway, the team started off, boy, oh boy, they lost their first, oh my gosh, 8, 9 games. And when I say lost, they lost bad. I'm talking 10-1, 12-2. I mean, horrible score, 7-0. It was a rough beating for a while, but we kept working together. We kept good communication with the parents and the players. We kept motivating them with positive inspiration. We're getting better. We're getting better. We're getting better. This time, we actually put the puck in the net a couple times. This time, we did a better job of keeping the shot count down. So slowly but surely, we started working together, but we kept that tight bond. The rest of the season, we won a game, then we won another one, and you all know how momentum is. Once that momentum train gets going, boy, it's hard to stop. I mean, it takes a while to get that train rolling, but once we get it rolling, man, holy cow. It's like a snowball coming downhill, picking up speed, just getting bigger and stronger as it goes along. Well, we won that first game, then we won another one, then we won another one. We went the rest of the season, only lost 2 games. And we end up, believe it or not, winning the state championship for our division. Believable. It was, the team totally transformed. Now, it's kind of funny. I tell this story. It was the same year that my St. Louis Blues went from the outhouse, they were dead last. I think it was January 3rd, and then ended up winning the Stanley Cup. Yes, from the outhouse to the penthouse. Well, Emmett, my youngest son, that was his team. We went from being dead last, losing our first 9 games, and putting it all together, and went from, I guess, the outhouse to the penthouse for his little 10U team as well. But anyway, that's the power of momentum. That's the power of belief. That's the power of confidence. But it's most importantly the power of working together, striving together. Because there were times, that fist, so to speak, the cracks in the foundation started to pull the team apart, but we kept at it. Now, that year, all 3, players, parents, coaches, had all bought in, all on the same page, and amazing things happened. So hopefully you've had a season like that before. Hopefully you've had few seasons where everything is total disarray and everybody's fighting each other and nothing's getting done. And it's a season you're just like, I'm done with this. That's horrible, but it happens. So If you haven't experienced yet, hopefully you won't ever have to. But if you have, you know how painful that is. Well, some tips I'm going to talk about today is helping you rise to the pressure, regardless. And I'm talking about playoffs because it's playoff time right now for the high school hockey leagues. But anytime you're doing something that is a challenge, that's more pressure than you've felt or faced in the past. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right. So tip number one, warrior confidence tip number one with that is train your mind like you train your body. Now, how do you do that? How do you train your mind like you train your body? Well, watching this podcast, listen to this podcast is one way of doing it. It's planting the right seeds in your mind. It's learning and continuously growing. It's self-educating, doing things to help your mental IQ, your hockey IQ, helping you raise your standards, your expectations. Listen to somebody who's trying to help you get there. Of course, listening is one part. The second part is you actually have to take action. And how you train your mind like you train your body, when you're at practice, you're practicing like you're in a game. Because remember the old saying, how you practice is how you play. You practice just going through the motions. When it comes game time, you're just going to go through the motions. Countless professional athletes I've had the honor, which I'm blessed to be able to have spoke to, who played at elite levels, have won championships, have won World Series, have won Super Bowl championships, have won Stanley Cup championships, and everything. They talk about their practice and their preparation was, yeah, they trained hard physically, but it was the mental part that helped them rise to the challenge, rise to the expectations they had set for themselves. And how they did that was in practice. They did it in practice by giving it all they got. So therefore, when game time came, man, it was just almost like going through a practice for them. The speed was a lot faster, but they'd already practiced and prepared at that level. And another part of it, back to the mindset, is realizing that, especially in hockey, the fastest game in the world, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have goof ups. You're going to have turnovers. You're going to have plays that like, oh, what the heck was I doing there? Especially in the playoffs when everything's ramped up twice as fast as it is during the regular season. But here's the key. Realize that a champion is not, once again, not someone who's never failed before. A champion is someone who has failed, but they've worked it. They've learned from it. They've worked to improve it, and they're committed to getting better at it. So that being said, you make a goof up. You turn the puck over. Maybe it leads to a puck being in the back of your net, giving up a goal. Before you know it, I mean, it happens, right? You're breaking out of your zone. You make a bad pass, like, oh, what did I do it for? Well, you did it because you were pressured. Somebody, the forecheck was harder on you than you expected. You turn the puck over before you know it, they bury it. It's the back of your net. Oh, you skate to the bench. Coach gets on you. You sit down. Here's the tip. 5 seconds. And at the max, you think about what you could have done better, what you're going to do better, and then move on. The same thing with goalies. Maybe you give up a bad goal. You can't sit there and continue to dwell on it. Now, every goalie's got their own little thing after they give up a goal, regardless if it was a bad goal or a goal that they had no chance on. Get their water bottle, take a couple shots, skate around, rethink it, refocus, and get back into the game. Because if you continue to focus on the air, and this is about training your mind, you continue to focus on that air, before you know it, you're going to make another one because you have not moved on. You're continuing to beat yourself up. Oh, I can't believe I did that. I'm such an idiot. I'm so dumb. I'm terrible. I'm the worst in the world. Oh, man, don't feed that, what I call your bully in your mind, with those negative beliefs, and that's limited beliefs, self-doubt, and negative thoughts of I'm the worst. You're not the worst. You made a mistake. You're a human being. Now, what are you going to do afterwards? That's what separates champions from everyone else, because everybody makes mistakes, but champions are the ones that are able to rise to it. They're able to overcome it, battle through, succeed, and then prove, hey, it was a goof, but guess what? That doesn't define me. And Zig Ziglar would always say that failures are events. An event is over. It ended. It's done. Failure is not a person. You're a person. You're a human being. You're a champion. You're a hero. You're a leader. That one failure or two or three or four doesn't define you. It's how you handle it, what you do afterwards that defines you. So train your mind as hard as you train your body. Now, like I always ask, can you do it? I always like to ask that to get you thinking. Yes, you can do it. I'll answer for you. But the $1 million question is this: are you going to do it? Now, I can't answer that for you. You have to answer that for yourself. And I'm talking to you as a player or a parent or as a coach. And we've all got our roles, right? Yeah. As a player, we're out there playing. As a parent, you're the ones encouraging your kids. You're not beating them up if they make a mistake. As a coach, same thing. They make a mistake, get onto them, help them correct it, help them learn from it, and grow stronger. That way everybody can work together, especially now during the pressure of playoff time. So are you going to do it? Go ahead and drop that in the comments. Say, yes, I am. And, of course, by dropping in the comments kind of a declaration to everybody, you're not only telling the world you're going to do it, you're making a commitment to yourself, almost in a sense, put it in a writing that I'm going to do it. And I know you're not going to lie to yourself, right? No, you've got integrity, man. All right. Moving on to number 2. Number 2 is, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, but it's so important, especially during the playoff times or high pressure times, control the controllables. There are things you can control and there are things you cannot control. It's unfortunate. Now, listen, I have done my best to, I don't know, kind of a perfectionist. I always like to take charge of things and fix everything. So I've tried to control everything, even things out of my control. And how do you think that worked? Not too doggone good, because there's simply certain things you cannot control. I can't control what the other team does. I can't control what the official is going to or not going to call. Right? Yeah, I can't control the condition of the ice. There are things out of my control. Can't control it. But what I can control, what you can control as a parent, player, coach, control, one, your emotions. Yeah, high pressure game, the emotions are going to run wild. Keep yourself under control. And I talked about this on a recent episode. We had one of our star players who the other team was keying on him. And they were a couple questionable shots. And then he got called for a questionable penalty. Well, next thing you know, he's throwing his arms in the air and he's doing all this and looking around. And after he got back from the penalty box, he's got a penalty. I'm like, look, is that who you are? No, they are keying on you because they're trying to get in your head. This is a high pressure situation. It was for a division championship. And I mean, stands were packed, but they're seeing him as an all-star. And I said, and he was one of our all-stars. Is that who you are? Is that the character representation of who you are? Throwing your arms all around? No. Yes, everybody in the stadium sees what's going on, but they're also watching how you respond to it. They're also watching what you do about it. They're also watching and saying, is this guy really a character player, or is he somebody we can get in their head and intimidate? So I said, the way to get back, you do what you do. You put the puck in the back of the net. And he went out there, the next shift scored, got himself under control, controlled the controllables, and did what he can do. And we ended up winning the game. Not once did he throw his hands up the rest of the game. Now, I'm hopeful that planted a seed in his mind by saying that, because I told him, look, you're going to play at a higher level than a lot of these guys out here. You've got that ability, and you're a good leader. But if the rest of the team sees you throwing your arms up in the air and throwing a little bit of a fit, they're going to think, well, that's what our leader does, so I guess we do it too. Absolutely not. Control the controllables. You can control how you respond or how you react to your emotions to a bad call or a missed call. You can control how hard you work. You can control your attitude, your effort, your mindset. Going out there with the attitude of what I call attitude of excellence. That attitude is, I am winning every puck battle. I am winning every battle in front of the net. I am winning every face-off. And as a goalie, I'm winning every challenge. They are not beating me. They're not getting a puck by me. Now, does that mean because you go out there with that attitude and that commitment that you're going to succeed 100% of the time? And that might be, wham, a right hook reality to some of you. Because I've heard some people say, hey, man, with the right attitude, you can do anything and you'll never fail. That is a bunch of garbage. The right attitude will help you achieve a lot more than the wrong attitude or a bad attitude. But just because you have the right attitude doesn't mean you're not going to have setbacks and failures. But you're going to go every single time with that attitude that I am going to succeed. And if you have a setback, if you have a failure, next time you go into that battle, you're going in twice as hard. You're you're double committed this time to not coming up short, to not losing, to not failing. If you lose twice, third time, even harder. Fourth time, even harder. And if that person hands it to you all night long, that means you're not doing enough work and practice. That's the reality of things. So, well, that person's just better. Well, maybe they have a little more skill, a little more talent than you do, but that is no excuse for you not to work harder and practice. Because remember, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And as I talked about before, skill will get you there, yes, but it's hard work, it's respect, it's attitude, it's that discipline to do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it that's going to get you the ice time that you want. Wasted talent is literally one of the biggest wastes in the world. I mean, how many times have you seen players that have all the talent in the world, but they crack under pressure? They can't handle the pressure of the playoffs. They become non-existent during the playoffs. I can't even tell you the number of players that I've played with, worked with, coached, that, man, oh man, they are outstanding. Some of the most talented players on the team. We see it in the NHL all the time. But when the playoffs come, they become non-existent. Why? Because the pressure is so much higher. People are keying in on them. They're the person they circle and saying, all right, when this guy's on the ice, I need you on the ice. Shut him down. To me, that's the ultimate sign of respect. When people key on you, that's another thing I tell players all the time. You know they're gunning for you. That is the ultimate sign of respect. They're saying, when you're out there, we got to have, our superstar out there on you, mano a mano, or we're going to match that player. So what that is obviously, and then if they put two players on you, that opens up somebody else on the ice. Control the controllables. Control what you can control. You can control your attitude. You can control your work ethic. You can control your mindset by listening to some of the stuff we're talking about here, and you can control your emotions. You can't control anything else outside of that. So focus on controlling what you can control. Good? All right. Hey, before we move on to Warrior Confidence tip number 3, I want to remind you, our How to Get More Ice Time program, the link's in the description box. Man, you can get our masterclass video for just $9. It's normally $29. It's just $9. Get that thing, and you can pick up our quick start guide for a few extra bucks. And that's, I'm telling you, the things we work on or teach you in that masterclass and that quick start guide is going to help you get what you want most: ice time, leadership roles. You want trust from the coach. Now, will everything in the book get you the ice time you want? Absolutely yes, if you're committed to doing what you're told to do. Nothing for nothing leads to nothing. You actually have to put in the work. I'm not one to promise you're going to get the world's all sunshine and rainbows and you're going to get championships just because. You still have to do the work. But I'm telling you what, you're here, you want to get here. These programs, my books, are the tools, the bridge to get you there. But you have to do it. You actually have to take that step and make it happen. And I know parents and coaches that are listening, most kids, players don't listen to podcasts like this, even though I'm talking directly to them. That's the reason I do that, is I hope, hopefully you'll encourage them to listen to this, because I know I'm saying the exact same things that you're saying to them, but maybe coming from another voice, maybe they'll listen a little bit. And that's going to help everybody. Also for parents and coaches, I'm hopeful that, well, one, you pick up my program, my books, and this and that to help you get your superstar the ice time they want and get your teams and organizations to become the champions that they're meant to be. But at the same time, hopefully you can learn something from this as well. And of course, my book, How to Get More Ice Time, Amazon new release bestseller. If you've not picked up a copy, please do so. The link for both the program and the book are in the description box. Grab a copy. If you have, please give us a good review on Amazon, because those reviews help rate us higher in the search engines, and it's just going to help get this message out to a higher group, more audience, and more people. And of course, hockey, it's kind of that underdog sport, right? Where we always had to fight for the TV rights, the TV shares, and the revenue. And we're a tight niche community, man. That's what makes hockey so beautiful, and it's why I love it so much. And why, those that don't know my background story, real quick, started off playing hockey at 4 years old. Always wanted to play in the NHL. It never happened. I played at a higher level than my natural athletic ability ever should have allowed, by the same things I talk about in the books in the program, How to Get More Ice Time. And then got back into martial arts when that NHL career ended before it ever began. And it was in martial arts, been in martial arts 40 plus years. I trained over in Korea, which really helped with my mindset, with my discipline, respect, work ethic. It really took all those things to a higher level, and had a martial arts academy for almost 30 years. Sold it, moved to Florida. I'm down here now where hockey's bigger than I could ever have imagined, which is fantastic. Simply, a lot of people are moving down here and hockey has bloomed. I mean, think about this. The last 5 years, there's been a Florida team in a Stanley Cup Finals. The last 3 years, a Florida team, 3 out of the last 5 years, a Florida team has won the Stanley Cup. Woohoo! So it's blown up down here. So come on down and check it out. It's beautiful. Anyway, so that's kind of my story. Now I'm focused 100%, taking everything I've learned for the 50 plus years in hockey, 40 plus years in martial arts, and putting that together with our Warrior Confidence hockey program, and trying to be the mentor I always wanted, needed in my life, to inspire you, the players, the parents, and coaches, to lead with integrity on and off the ice, to have the mindset, to have the discipline, to have the work ethic, to have the respect and the belief in themselves, to be the hero and champion you were born to be. Woo! How's that? All right. All right. Well, hey, let's move on to Warrior Confidence tip number 3. And tip number 3 is flip the script on the pressure. Now, as I mentioned earlier, pressure is going to define you one way or another. Are you going to be the one that rises to the challenge? You're going to thrive under that pressure? Are you going to stand out? Are you going to lead your team? Your team follows behind you and take that team to a championship? Or are you going to be the one that pressure gets to? You're going to crack. You're going to crumble. You're going to make a mistake, and that mistake's going to be the end-all, be-all, and that's it. You're going to continue to think about that error, think about that mistake, think about that failure, and before you know it, you've made another one. You've made another one. You've made another one. Before you know it, the game's over. You're out of the playoffs. Season's over. Ooh. Have I experienced that before? Yeah, more times than I'd like to admit. And guess what? If you haven't already, you're probably going to at some point in time. But once again, I cannot say this enough. A champion is not someone who's never failed before, because we all fail. And, there's an old saying, if you're not failing often, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Whoa, now there's a shot too. Holy cow. But the truth is, if it is a challenge now, that means you've overcome smaller challenges to get you to this level. That's why this is a challenge. And once you overcome this challenge, the next challenge is going to be even harder. I know. It's going, man, does challenges ever end? Well, I guess if you do nothing, yeah. But not you, man. You're made to thrive, strive, to set expectations and standards and reach goals, to keep pushing yourself. And when you do that, well, that's the only way to get ahead. It's the only way to championships, because here's the thing. If you do nothing, you're not going to excel. Because I promise you, someone else out there is working twice as hard as you are right now. You got to continue to put in the effort if you want to be a champion. If you don't, well, you're probably not listening to this podcast in the first place. No worries there. So the fact that you're listening means you want to get to that next level. So flip that script on that pressure. You're going to flip it around. You're going to say, I know the pressure's there. I know it's great. I know it's strong. But guess what? So am I. I know what I'm capable of because I have put in the work in practice. I respect myself, my team, my coach enough to give it all I got in practice. So in this pressure situation, in the playoffs, in states, I'm ready for it, baby. If I have a setback, if I have a mess up, I have a failure, I turn the puck over, I'm a goalie, or if I'm a goalie and I give up a soft goal, it happens. I'm getting rid of it, shaking it off, thinking about what could I have done differently, and then moving on. That is how champions are made. That's how you thrive in the playoffs. That's how you thrive when the pressure is so high. You're like, what am I going to do with this? It's called getting in the zone. And the zone is you are so locked in. You're so focused. And there's another thing, drop in the comments. If you've been in the zone before, drop it in there. Give me a thumbs up or a fire emoji. You've been in the zone. That zone is like everything's in slow motion around you. You can't hear the crowd. But you're so locked in, you actually hear the skates cutting on the ice. You actually hear the puck sliding across the ice. You are so hyper-focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is performing at your very, very best. Seems like everything else is moving in slow motion. It is truly one of the greatest feelings in the world. Now, quick little story, and I tell this to the high school players a lot. My senior year in high school, and it seems like everybody, different states do everything different with the playoffs. Back in my day, we had from the second and third round, it was the best 2 out of 3 for the playoffs. Nowadays, it's one and done. Anyway, it is what it is. But I remember game 1, we're playing a team, we were the heavy underdogs. We barely squeaked into the playoffs, and it was, well, some years you have teams that click, and some years you don't necessarily have those. And this was back in 88. That's the year I graduated. Got locked in, man. This was my senior year, and we were not going to go away quietly. We're going to give it all we got. It's always been my attitude anyway. It's just gotten stronger as I've gotten older, and but more refined now because I've learned the power of reading, the power of surrounding yourself with a higher level of people, the power of going to conferences and workshops, the power of the mind, the mindset, stuff I never knew when I was younger. That's why I try and share it here with you on the podcast and to high school players and juniors and even pros that I will get an opportunity. And I say it's a beautiful opportunity to work with. But anyway, that game come out, and man, I'm locked in. And somehow I don't even know how it happened. I scored 3 goals in my first 2 shifts. Had a hat trick in the first period. We're up 3-0. And I'm like, it seems like everything's happening so easy. And one of the defensemen comes up to me and goes, "Holy crap, Grogan, you got 3 goals in 2 shifts? What's going on here?" And it was like, I snapped out of it and I'm like, I do? And I realized it, but I didn't realize it. So I tell you this because then my mind starts wandering off of the game thinking, man, I'm going to probably score 6 goals this game. We're going to cruise through these playoffs. I'm going to win a championship. Well, before we know it, it's 4-3 late in the third period. Get an opportunity for a breakaway. I move in, opportunity to tie the game up. And I'm talking there's a minute and a half or something left. Make a move, pull it across. The goalie goes down. I go to roof it. It hits the knob of his stick. Trickles to the side. We end up losing the game 4-3. Now, I'm telling you that because I zapped out of that focus, zapped out of that zone I was in, and started thinking about things out here instead of focusing in on what my job was, and that's to play the best hockey game I can. It happens. So we lost the next game 2-1. I happened to score that goal on a deflection. That's where I did all my work anyway. I was in front of the net, taking a beating from big defensemen. But that was it. High school career was over. I went on to play at higher levels and this and that, which was fantastic. But I've never forgotten that because that was one of the first times that I can remember that I was locked into that zone. And that's about flipping that script. But without the right mindset, I drifted out of it and started focusing on things I couldn't control. And before I know it, I had a breakaway. I did everything right. I hit the knob of the goalie's stick, so I guess I didn't. Anyway, we ended up losing. So I tell you that story because you work on these mindset tips I'm talking about, you can get locked in that zone. But that zone can work good or bad. And what I mean by that is if you get in the self-defeating zone of, I'm terrible, all I do is let in goals, the goalie mindset, or all I do is turn the puck over, I can't win a face-off, now you've beat yourself up the other way. Flip the script. You can handle pressure situations. You can control the controllables you can control, and you are a champion. Now, once again, can you do it? Absolutely. Are you going to do it? Once again, that's a question that you've got to answer. So, quick review. The 3 warrior confidence tips. Number 1. Where is number 1? I got my notes in front of me here, and I'm still lost. Holy smokes. Train your mind like you train your body. Number 2. That's why I write these down so I don't forget. Control the controllables. And number 3, you're going to flip the script on how you handle pressure. Good? All right. Hey, thank you so very much for listening. I really appreciate it. I'd love it if you shared this. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe, smack that bell so you get notified of all new videos and podcasts coming out. Of course, pick up a copy of our How to Get More Ice Time program and our How to Get More Ice Time book. And if you want more information on our other coaching programs or to have me come in and speak to your organization, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. But let's just start off by subscribing, ringing that bell, picking up a copy, and then drop something in the comments. Share your thoughts with me. Share with me if you've ever been in the zone and you know what I'm talking about there. Share with me if you've had the mindset of, man, I'm no good. I can't do this. I'm a failure. Be open. Share it. But then share that I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not beating myself up because I am a champion. Sound good? All right, everybody. Hey, I love you. God loves you. Please share that love and share your gift with the world because trust me, the world needs it. And until we talk again, you get out there and do your best, and I promise you'll be your very best. God bless you. God bless your loved ones. Can't wait to read your comments, and I can't wait to chat with you again real soon. Have a blessed day, everybody. Thanks again for listening. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for listening to the Warrior Confidence Hockey Podcast. I'm truly grateful for your time. If you found value in today's episode, remember to like, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a teammate, coach, or parent who needs to hear this message. Remember to stay connected throughout the week for daily Warrior Confidence hockey tips across all social media channels at Real Rich Grogan. Parents, if you're serious about helping your athlete earn more ice time and stand out, then be sure to check out our Warrior Confidence hockey program. The link is in the show notes. And for coaches and organizations, if you're ready to create a stronger team culture, eliminate ice time drama, and build leaders you can trust, let's talk about bringing Warrior Confidence hockey to your team. Well, until next time, stand out, earn respect, and lead with integrity, because winning on the ice starts with winning off the ice. I look forward to chatting with you again real soon. Have a blessed day. Parents, are you frustrated seeing your superstar sit on the bench? getting overlooked and passed over for ice time and leadership roles? I personally know that heartbreaking pain. Well, that frustration ends today. Introducing our How to Get More Ice Time program, the amazing one-of-a-kind program for youth and teenage hockey players that helps them get what they want most, more playing time and more opportunities. And today, exclusive offer, we're selling this thing for only $9. $9. It's a no-brainer. But you got to act now because this offer won't last. And if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change. So go to warriorconfidence.com. That's warriorconfidence.com, or simply click on the link in the description box. Buy the program today and help your child get what they want most, more ice time.